Legendary actor Robert Duvall, who played iconic roles in films including The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, is currently dealing with a devastating personal loss. A once powerful cinematic giant, Duvall is now a person who needs daily care at a tranquil farmhouse in Virginia, after his health unexpectedly declined at the age of 94. Luciana Pedraza, his wife, is forced to prepare for the unimaginable. Members of his inner circle have informed us that Luciana is bidding farewell to her spouse of over 30 years while they remain silent. His departure is the subject of a significant narrative in Hollywood. Although he has made an appearance in recent years, he has been extremely quiet creatively. Members of his immediate family and tight group of friends have verified the news of his neurodegenerative illness diagnosis. A cameo in an independent film made by a long-standing close friend was among the many opportunities he turned down because of the health condition's devastating impact on his memory and processing abilities. This turning point is most clearly demonstrated by the prolonged stillness that has persisted since early 2024. There have been no more public appearances by Duvall. His presence at a few of smaller gatherings continued prior to that. All gatherings, however, have been limited to immediate family and close friends since the diagnosis. He is never longer seen giving speeches or signing autographs. Just a little note on his own account has been shared with the public. If you are among those who have survived, thank you. Although I lack the physical capacity to make an appearance, my spirit remains. Robert Duvall is presently under constant medical supervision on his Virginia estate. Luciana Pedraza is in charge of her husband's health in every way. Eating, sleeping, and attending specialist therapy sessions were all parts of her rescheduled routine. He also had his personal physician relocate to his estate so that he could be closely watched. Colleagues on his most recent projects unanimously felt he couldn't handle even a minute of camera time. Despite her silence, Luciana started skipping art events in the middle of 2024 in favor of spending all her time with her spouse. Former employees of the couple's children's charity alleged that Luciana spent her time with Duvall and that the secondary management team was responsible for all ongoing tasks. "I have lived with him for almost 30 years, she rarely revealed during a private meeting in early 2025. "It is my duty to remain steadfast to the very end of my vow." Things have slowed down significantly, rather than disappeared entirely. Back when he was younger, Duvall still read screenplays, edited dialogue, and took notes by hand. He is no longer able to faithfully adhere to a script in its whole since his diagnosis. "We have decided to cancel the reading sessions with the directors." His present condition, according to those who have worked with him, is characterized by temporary confusion, although he retains clear memories of previous tasks. Things have also changed with Luciana's presence. Once upon a time, she was an energetic, communicative, and involved person who helped organize charity activities and movie events. These days, she keeps to herself, rarely leaves the house, and is nearly non-existent on the social media platforms she once actively participated in. A trusted acquaintance gave a brief account of it. After 10 minutes of being apart from him, Luciana becomes quite restless. Watching the time, she never leaves home without checking it, as though she is in constant dread of being omitted. Their unique connection will shed light on the significance of Luciana Pedraza's presence at this time. Though moviegoers may not recognize Luciana Pedraza's name, she played a pivotal role in Robert Duvall's downfall. Their romance shocked many when they first made an appearance together after a separation of over 40 years. Luciana has been by his side through every storm, physical, mental, and career, for nearly 30 years, making her more than just his wife. Meeting in Buenos Aires in the late 90s was their first official meeting. No big occasion, no premiere of a well-known film, just a random meeting. Without realizing that Duvall was a famous actor, Luciana sent an invitation to a party. They quickly became close because of their shared passion for the tango, a dance that encapsulates a wide range of emotions. Their long-lasting connection began with that rhythm and continued all the way up to their 2005 wedding. After meeting Robert Duvall, Luciana became a common sight at all of his major events. At the Academy Awards, the BAFTAs, and many other distinguished award shows, she made an appearance with him. She was not one to bask in the limelight, preferring instead to work in the background, where she could assist her husband and remain submissive at all times. A frequent and resounding theme in Duvall's statements to the press was the importance of his wife in his life. "My life would be completely different if she weren't in it." Nothing grandiose was said to proclaim their love for one another. It was during their private studio dance sessions at the Virginia farm, their joint Argentine charity excursions, or the rare images they posted of themselves holding each other's arms in a crowded room. Attempts to become famous were not made by Luciana. She was his personal bodyguard on all of their adventures and in all of their filmings. As Robert Duvall's health declined recently, Luciana's involvement became increasingly apparent. She stopped attending parties, stopped going to seminars, and stopped talking about movies and art the way she used to. The majority of her friends and acquaintances said she was devoted to her spouse and followed a routine that worked for his mental and physical health. There was more than just physical care. In keeping with their long-established routines, Luciana kept him involved in activities like dancing, listening to tango music, and exploring the farm grounds on foot. It was her intention to protect Duvall from becoming disoriented or detached from reality, and she did all she could to that end. It was a natural way for him to keep his head from spinning. Therefore, he would repeat these things daily, as corroborated by family and friends. In a brief conversation, Luciana reportedly replied, "I don't need him to remember me forever." This was according to an old acquaintance of hers. "Please, all I ask is that he know I am here." She was doing everything in her own quiet, unassuming, unwavering way, and that one sentence said it all. In our darkest hours, that love was there, not as an ally in triumph, but as an equal partner. In order to trace the steps that propelled Robert Duvall to global cinematic icon status, it is necessary to examine his career spanning over 7 decades. A life lived with dignity and bravery. An iconic part was all that was needed for Robert Duvall to become a star of American cinema. Instead of going with the flow of popular culture, he relentlessly pursued emotional depth in every role he played and film he was a part of. Throughout his career, which spanned over 130 parts, he remained committed to his own acting standards. Her breakout role was as Boo Radley in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. The audience was profoundly affected by that silent individual, despite their minimal appearance. A talent that would remain with Duvall throughout his career, the role showcased his ability to portray emotions through laconicism and eye expressions. Playing Tom Hagen in The Godfather was the crowning achievement as an actor. He gained his first Academy Award nomination for his performance as the devoted counselor to the Corleone family, who, despite never raising his voice or resorting to physical force, exuded an air of authoritative certainty that brought about a cascade of opportunities in political and social psychological films. Apocalypse was a watershed moment because it introduced viewers to a new kind of character, Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore Duvall. Brave, disorganized, and obsessed, yet still bearing his distinctive stamp of mastery. I Adore the Aroma of Napalm First Thing in the Morning was not only nominated for another Academy Award, but it also became a cultural phenomenon. Without settling for supporting roles, Duvall worked his way up to the level of seasoned actors capable of playing starring roles. He played a character in Tender Mercies who was a recovering alcoholic who now lives alone in Texas and sings country music. You can achieve depth without being showy. He proved it in this somber, gritty, and troubled role that earned him the Oscar for Best Actor. Apostle, Judge, and Great Santini were all roles he proceeded to play with complexity. The case is one of civil litigation. The characters vary in subtlety, but they all share a burdened inner life, emotional regulation skills, and the courage to face moral dilemmas head-on. Duvall never aspires to be the stereotypical heroic actor. Nevertheless, zeroes down on the reality of human psyche. He is involved with the creative processes of writing, directing, and producing in addition to his acting career. The Apostle finds him juggling the responsibilities of director, screenwriter, and male protagonist. A number of awards were bestowed to the picture, including one for Best Actor, and it was universally well received by reviewers. Additionally, Duvall established Butcher's Run Films, where he takes on independent projects away from major studios. Assassination Tango stands out among his works for a number of reasons, including the fact that he was both a director and an actor in the picture, and the fact that it served as a transitional piece between his professional and private lives. His future partner, Luciana Pedraza, was an employee here. While the picture failed to resonate with audiences financially, it is widely regarded as one of his most distinctive pieces. Through the years, Duvall has maintained a constant approach to his work: picky, exacting, unyielding, and discreet. The allure of huge paychecks isn't enough to entice him to engage in commercial blockbusters, superhero films, or long-running television programs. An important part, in his view, is one that conveys something genuine and deep about the characters. Prior to his rise to fame, Robert Duvall had a troubled entrepreneurial journey, a secluded childhood, and a military background. All of these experiences shaped his distinctive character and work ethic. Starting off on the right foot, a life defined by order. A member of the military family, Robert Duvall came into this world in 1931 in San Diego, California. An admiral in the Navy, his father was a naval officer before his son was born. Not to mention that his mom was an aspiring actress and art enthusiast. All of Duvall's family activities were based on rules and discipline from the time he was a little boy. Coming from a family that adhered to the military system, where responsibility, quiet, and obedience were the norm, young Duvall did not have the luxury of a creative upbringing or an atmosphere that fostered expression. Annapolis, Maryland, close to the U.S. Naval Academy, was where he spent most of his boyhood. Here he was also taught the ins and outs of military life, including discipline and how to think critically. At his core, his character was built on these principles. He maintains an air of quiet seriousness and moderation, and he rarely speaks out. Principia College in Illinois was where Duvall got his degree, before earning a degree in theater at the bachelor's level. His mother had been an actress, therefore she discreetly supported him even if this decision went against family custom. He served in the United States Army after completing his mandatory military service, serving in the Army from 1953 to 1955. While serving in the Army, he gained valuable experience with discipline, learned to be patient under pressure, and developed resilience to adverse environments. Moving to New York City, Duvall enrolled at the Neighborhood Playhouse, a highly esteemed acting school, after his discharge from the military. He was a student of Sanford Meisner, who was a major impact on Duvall's acting style. Among his pals there were Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman, two of Hollywood's biggest stars today. It was not an easy time to be a student. To make ends meet, Duvall worked as a postman, dishwasher, waiter, and truck driver, among other occupations. He learned understanding and persistence from each experience, which aided his ability to grow into more challenging responsibilities. Duvall was a professional actor for a long time before making it big on movie, primarily in the off-Broadway theater scene. Among his major roles during this period was his win of the renowned Obie Award for Theater for his portrayal of Eddie Carbone in A View from the Bridge. The stage career not only launched his career, but it also helped Duvall hone his signature style, the ability to regulate his emotions, rhythm, and moderation on stage. Duvall went against the grain of his time, abandoning the pursuit of physical attractiveness and ostentation. He did not care about being in the spotlight or following the latest fads. He opted instead to show characters as complex, multi-layered, and internally conflicted. It was the product of a long-term process of character development that began when he was a young man, rather than an intentional plan all along. The traditions and experiences he gained in the military formed the bedrock of his professional life. Strict training was evident in the way he controlled his character behavior and speech emotions. No one ever looked more at home in the parts of emotionally distant fathers or characters struggling with their own demons than he did. As an artist, Duvall did not behave as such. The character seemed to have experienced that emotion firsthand, according to his portrayal. A reclusive man, even after he became famous, he kept to himself, stayed away from parties and other social occasions that had nothing to do with art or family. While Duvall seemed unapproachable, he was completely trustworthy, according to several of the filmmakers who worked with him. He was the type to keep quiet until he felt there was a strong enough reason to trust. That laid the groundwork for him to make an indelible impression on Hollywood, a legacy that is eternally valuable and not just measured by the number of roles it plays. Inspired by his own history, Robert Duvall created a legacy that is shrouded in secrecy even now, a lasting impression crafted to outlast the glare. Media efforts were never necessary for Robert Duvall to confirm his reputation. For many years, he chose to work in silence, but he never wavered from his ideals. Therefore, the lasting worth of each job, decision, and stage of life is what truly defines his legacy, not box office numbers. Recently, Duvall has given a few of interviews in which he briefly discussed his thoughts on an actor's worth. The number of lines you stated on set is irrelevant compared to the impression you make on viewers when they meet your gaze. It is evident from that saying what his professional perspective is. Serve as a framework for the impact he achieves on his audience. In addition to his many honors and nominations, Duvall will be remembered for his impact on subsequent generations of actors. His mastery of tone and cadence in speech, as well as his talent for making even the most unlikable characters likable, have garnered him praise from many in the industry. Playing the parts of Tom Hagen and Gus McCrae, characters like Max Sledge and Kilgore are challenging to play, but he does it with his trademark restraint and obvious psychological depth. Charity work that Duvall and his wife started and continue to oversee is another aspect of his legacy beyond the film industry. Many years have passed since the Robert Duvall Children's Foundation began its work in Argentina and other troubled Latin American countries, giving kids from disadvantaged backgrounds the resources they need to succeed academically and personally. While Duvall may not be the one to often take the stage to solicit financial support, he is consistently the one to provide his stamp of approval. Each strategy keeps an eye on all the programs that put it into action and makes sure that the initiatives can last. According to what is recorded, the majority of the real estate remains unchanged, although he has not made public information regarding the division of ownership over assets. No plans to sell homes, transfer large-scale assets, or establish private funds related to transfers have been made. Coexisting with long-established norms, such as farming, doing business from afar, and entrusting authorized groups with day-to-day management responsibilities, the present way of life is remarkably consistent. Recent remarks by Robert Duvall center on the idea of time and quiet. I used to believe the most significant part was the one with the most lines of conversation, he noted in a brief letter to filmmakers. Things that stuck with me, though, were the expression, the feeling of being there, and the unrecorded moments. The message reveals a deeply personal viewpoint, as well as his reflections on his trip thus far. A man of humble but profound affection and the perseverance values, Robert Duvall has spent his life doing art. At the end of the performance, the audience will remember not just the iconic roles, but also the guy who remained loyal to his principles right up until the end. If you think his story is worthy of respect, hit the like button, forward this video to other movie buffs, and subscribe to the channel to never miss another one of these heartfelt tales. Write a comment below and share your thoughts on Robert Duvall, an unsung Hollywood great.